Hey, everybody. Welcome to Liberty Speaks. Liberty Speaks is the podcast of Liberty Speaks Inc., which is a nonpartisan nonprofit that seeks to promote the vital concepts of life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. We're super grateful to have our next guest on. His name is Ernest Ramirez. And I think the best way to explain who Ernest is to say that this man took suffering and pain, flipped it upside down, put it back in his heart, and decided to help others like no one I've ever seen in a long time. So, Ernest, I'm super happy to be able to speak to you about your journey. And really, I'd like you to tell us the story, and then we can talk about some things related to what happened. So thanks for coming on Liberty Speaks, and it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, ma'am. Same here. No, like I said, it's so many things have happened since my son's passing. Uh, the day when my son was born, he was handed to me, and people didn't realize he was the greatest gift I was given. I've always believed children were a gift from God, and I was just so happy. Me personally, I don't know what it's like to have a father, but because of that, I swore my son would never even know what that felt like. So every day I hugged and kissed my child. I loved my son so much. I wanted to make sure he knew a father's love. So every day started out where I would get up, we'd get ready. I'd take him to daycare. I'd go to work, come home, pick him up, take him home. And as he grew older, I would take him to the local store to get him his breakfast taco and his little orange juice, and take him to daycare again. It was a routine, something we did. At the age of 7, I bought a couple of baseball gloves. So, I wanted to be able to play catch with my son. I wanted to teach him how to play catch. I figured that's what, you see on TV. Like I said, I never knew what that was like. And I figured that's what a father should do: play baseball, catch, football, whatever. And so we started playing catch that day. And each time I kept throwing the ball harder and harder. And he learned how to catch right away. And he told me, "Dad, you're going to hurt me." I said, "No, that's your protection. As long as you catch that ball, you have nothing to worry about." And that same day, he told me he wanted to play baseball. So I signed him up for Little League Baseball at 7. Well, I get there and they tell me, "Okay, coach." I said, "No, I'm not a coach. I'm registering my son." And next day I know I'm coaching Little League Baseball for 7, 8 years. They have me coaching. But I loved it because I'd rush, go to work, hurry up and get home. We either had practice or we had games, and he was one of the best players. I mean, everyone in our town knew who Junior was because he'd get up to bat. The other coaches were yelling for the kids to get back. Ernesto's up. Ernesto's up. I had him as a pitcher too because he had one of the strongest arms since I taught him so many years, and he was just a good baseball player all the way through. He would run. He was constantly stealing bases, and I would laugh because the other coaches would tell their teammates, "Leave Ernesto alone," because he'd run off the base and he'd taunt the pitchers, and they kept yelling, leave him alone," and they'd end up throwing the ball so Junior would steal bases. He was a character on the field. He was, like I said, he was the best child I could ever ask for, and like I said, we went everywhere together, fishing, hunting. Uh, at the age of 9, I bought him his first rifle. I taught him gun safety, and he asked me too one time. He goes, "Dad, why do we have so many guns?" I said, "I never thought this was going to be like this," but I told him it's because one day we may have to hunt to eat. I said, "This world's going to go to hell. Well, at least we'll have to hunt and eat, or to protect ourselves. We may even have to use them to fight for our country." I didn't know how true that statement was going to be. And since then, like I said, he became a marksman. He had by the time he was 11, I had bought him 3 different rifles, tactical rifles. He knew everything there was to know about guns. And like I said, fishing, I couldn't get him away from the fishing pier because we'd be there for days at a time. It was just a father thing, father son deals that we did together. I was at already to the point where I ride motorcycles, and he had told me, Dad, I want you to give me a motorcycle, and which I wanted to because I couldn't have thought a better time to spend with my son than to ride motorcycles together. Anyway, COVID hit, and all they showed here was people catching COVID, being admitted to the hospital, and dying, putting on ventilators and dying. Nobody was coming out alive, and they were dying alone. And I swore, I said, if my son ever ended up in the hospital, there's no way they're going to keep me from him. I would fight my way in there, because that's just the way I am. But, they turned around and said, Pfizer said it was safe and effective for teenagers. That's when I went and took the Moderna first because I wasn't going to take it. But I took it. I didn't get any immediate side effects from it. And I told Junior, I said, look, they say it's safe and effective for teenagers. He goes, well, let's go, Dad, because I'm pretty sure he was stir crazy being locked up all the time. So he took that first dose. Uh, he was fine. Every day was a normal day. I'd I'd get up in the morning, give him a hug and a kiss before he went to school. I'd go to work. When I get home, he'd come running out, and I'd give him a hug and a kiss and ask him, do you want me to cook or do you want to go out to eat? And he was such a wonderful kid. He never wanted to bother me. He never wanted me to spend money on him. I tried to make him understand that's my job to buy you clothes and stuff you need, and he didn't want me to do that. He was more worried about me than, and I would tell him, that's my job to worry about you. I could be in my bedroom and I'd sneeze or cough, and he'd come running. Dad, you okay? And I would laugh. I said, yes, dude. You got to understand. I need to worry about you. I'm okay. So after we took that first dose, he my neighbor called and asked if she could take the boys out to eat and play basketball. I said, yes, ma'am, of course. So I met Junior. Junior came out of his room, and I was standing at the front door. I gave him some money. I gave him a hug and a kiss. I told him, be good, and if you need anything, call me. And I didn't know that was going to be the last time I talked to my son. He went. The lady, my neighbor, calls me, yelling, screaming, hysterical. Something was wrong with Junior. And I said, no, not my son. Nothing could be wrong with my son. And naturally, you think a broken arm, broken leg. I seen him when I got there. I rushed there, and I seen him in the ambulance, not moving or anything. And I was screaming his name. I was trying to climb in. They wouldn't let me in the ambulance. They rushed him to the hospital. I chased the ambulance to the hospital. They worked on him for a while, and the doctor comes out like nothing. He tells me, your son's dead. You can go home now. And it just hit me where they already had police officers there. And I grabbed the doctor. I threw him against the wall. The thoughts that went through my head that's when he said that with no feeling, just like it was nothing. But, like I said, I took off, went home. I was on the verge of suicide. And like I said, everybody was, trying to comfort me. Uh, I cursed God out loud. I mean, I yelled it out on the street, and I had people calling me, you want to pray for me or whatever, and I cursed them out, and I cursed the God they worship too, because how could a God that do this to me since I was raised in a good Christian man? How could this happen? But like I said, just before I pulled the trigger, something told me I had to I felt I had a little faith because something told me I wouldn't go to heaven, and I have to prepare myself to see my son again. So, like I said, I made peace with God, and I decided to start fighting back. And I, like all this time, I thought it was just something that happened to me and my son. I didn't know it was the vaccine. To be honest, I didn't know it was a vaccine at that time. I had ex-Fox reporter Ivory Hecker heard my son's story. She came down from Houston to interview me, and we talked. I told her. She asked to see his autopsy, and I didn't know anything about the autopsy. I had it, but I couldn't read it. I wasn't didn't care to read it because I was, I was thinking about my son. So she looked through it. She started explaining to me what myocarditis was and how it happened. And it's my eyes started opening up then. And then she, like I said, she interviewed me. She turned around and interviewed to Texas Department of Health. She because they wouldn't return my calls. Uh, she interviewed the doctor in charge of all the hospital that said he denied any child died that day. And she showed him the death certificate, the autopsy report. Then he started trying to say my son was obese. And she showed him a picture of my son. And he himself said he looks like a normal 16-year-old boy. And she said, Ernest, this is because of the vaccine. She sent my son's autopsy to Dr. Peter McCullough, who was the first doctor to review his autopsy. And he verified it on camera that he passed due to myocarditis from the vaccine. And like I said, I thought it was just something that happened just to me and my son. I started speaking out everywhere here in Texas. They asked me what I was going to do next. And, when I was in Austin, I said, well, I'm going to go to D.C., see if I can get some answers. And Ivory Hecky actually, she helped me. She asked me if I had a fundraiser, and I said no. So I started to GoFundMe, and they took all the money away. They deplatformed me. Said I went against all the regulations. So, I said, well, what can I do about it? It's a system. And anyway, she asked me to start a life funder, which I did. I wasn't expecting anything to pay for my trip to DC. And I seen a doctor and his wife from Houston donate $1,000, and brought tears to my eyes. Somebody cares, someone actually cared about what I was trying to do. She calls me in the morning and tells me if she asked me if she could do another interview. I said yes, ma'am, and we did. She said, so what do you think about that fundraiser? And I told her about the doctor and his wife, and I said it just made me feel good that somebody cared enough to give me $1,000. She goes, no, Ernest, you've raised over $10,000 overnight. And I couldn't believe that. I started crying. And there's my trip right there. My meals, my hotel, whatever. So me and a friend of mine, we drove our motorcycles to D.C. for the attention. And like I said, just before that, Senator Ron Johnson was the only one that contacted me, and he wanted to meet with me and speak to me. So when we got there, I had a hotel room downtown, right there at the Ritz. They got me a room there. And when I came down to the lobby, me and my buddy were in the lobby. That's when I heard a little skinny white lady walk up to me and tell me, Mr. Ramirez, come over here. You're part of the family. And I said, I don't know anybody in DC, and I don't know how this lady knows me. And like I said, it ended up being Miss Brianne Dressing, co-founder of React 19. And like I met her, Dr. Joe Walscott, little Maddie DeGarry, her mama Steph DeGarry, and that's when my eyes opened up even more, thinking this is not just me and my son. This is a lot of other people that have been affected by this vaccine. And so we started speaking out. I started doing more and more. I've been invited all across the country. Uh, I was invited to Austria to go speak, which I wasn't able to do because every time they put my name in the system, the flight was canceled. I said, oh, that's okay. I mean, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. They couldn't understand why it was happening, but I was able to go speak in front of the United Nations in Switzerland a couple months ago, Like I said, it's been a whirlwind of events. I met, like I said, became personal friends with Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Renee Moon, Dr. Ryan Cole, Dr. Paul Alexander. I mean, I can keep on. All these doctors that are fighting what's going on, they have been real supportive, real wonderful people. And that's when I got real close to my vaccine injured families. Like I said, hopefully one day I get to see little Maddie DeGarry walk again. I hope to see her on her wedding day walking down the aisle. I hope to see Brianne Dressing, Jessica Sutter, ex Pussycat singer. She's a dear friend. I love her. Her and Brianne are like little sisters to me. These are all people that have been affected. And everywhere I go, uh, I meet people. They'll tell me. I had a lady screaming for me. I was in the VIP in front of the United Nations, and she's screaming my name. And I turned around. Naturally, I'm going to go out there. So I went, and she's crying that her daughter had been affected. She's dying, and like I said, I'm just a regular person. There's nothing I can do. But I told her, baby, I'm here for you. Anytime you want to talk, I gave her a hug. We cried together. That's the most I can do. I mean, I can only give you a shoulder, an ear to, so I can listen to whatever you have to tell me. I feel that this is my job now to try to comfort anyone that needs a little comforting. And like I said, even it's not my doing. I believe God puts me in a place where He wants me to be to try to help the people. I just got back from North Carolina. Something told me to go up there and help because our government's not doing it. And I met so many people who recognize me or recognize my truck. I've had people hanging out their trucks yelling, I know you. I know who you are. I know what you do. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I said, no, you don't have to thank me. Thank our Lord and Savior. He's the one that put me in this position. I mean, it's just so many wonderful people. And unfortunately, I have strangers come up. They see my truck and they tell me their stories, how they've been affected, how they're sick, their family members have been sick. And I mean, I wish there was more I could do. I want to do more. I want to move the world for these people. I wish I was in a position. I'm not a politician, but if I was in a position to change rules, regulations, everything, I would love to do that because I mean, these people, you see the pain and suffering. Uh, it just hurts me. You know, I don't know what else to do. I wish I could take all that pain away from them because I'll see them like little Maddie. I can see her across the room, and I see her smile when she sees me. She has a big smile, and I'll pass and walk through everybody just to get to little Maddie. I love that little girl like she was my own daughter. And but the thing is, her pain and suffering. But she actually puts a smile on her face. Brandress and Jessica, they're hurting and suffering, but when they see me, I see them laughing and smiling. You know, I try to lift them up because we're all going through hell every day, and being injured or being affected, people shun us. They push us away. You know, they don't want to see it or they don't want to hear it, and we have nobody to turn to. Like, look at me now. I had to put my house up for sale. You know, hopefully I get to, get something out of it. That's a house I didn't want to do that. That's a house Junior grew up in, and it was hard for me to pack up his stuff. But like I said, God's there. God will take care of me. You know, so many people that I know of that have been living in their cars. They don't know whether the little bit of money they have, do I buy my medication to make it through another day, or do I buy me something to eat because I'm hungry? And I mean, I hear it. I hear the stories. I just can't do anything about it. You know, we all need to help somehow. You know, L.A. When I was in L.A., I told everybody, look, $10, $20 can't even buy you a decent meal. But if you can donate that $10, $20 amongst all of us, we can help somebody. We can get them medical attention. We could get them maybe some bills paid or uh, get them a place to live because our government's not going to do it. They haven't done it in the past 3.5 years, 4 years. they're not going to start now. They proved themselves. They proved what they care for. And that first shipment of money that went to Ukraine, what, $400 billion? You know what I could do with that money? Do you know how many of them are vaccine injured that I could help? I could make, I could build a clinic, one on each side of the U.S., just to get them some treatment. But our government's not doing that. They're able to do it. They're funding countries that do not respect us. They don't care about us. They hate us, but yet they're giving them money. We have starving children here in our own land. We have homeless vets that they're not even taken care of. These are people we should honor because they fought for us. They fought for us to have a free country, and we no longer have that free country. And like I said, the only thing I ever see is politicians getting richer and richer while we're here starving, suffering. I don't know what else to do. I wish somebody would come up with some type of ideas. And I'm like I said, I have no fear no more. We used to have fear of dying or whatever. I don't, because I know if I die, I'm going to heaven. I'm going home. And I've asked God several times, take me home. I'm tired. I don't want to do this no more. But I know the answer is no. And we need to be prepared, because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. People have faith and hope on the elections or who's up there. Like I said, until somebody proves it to me, show me that you care, show me you're helping somebody. I'm not asking you to help me. I want to see that you're helping somebody that I know that's injured or suffering, and then I'll trust you and I'll believe you. I mean, that's just the way I feel. I don't trust anybody, no politicians, until they help my people.
Well, Ernest, first of all, really, I'm very sorry for your loss. And may his memory be eternal. And I'm sure he's so proud of you for fighting so that you can help other people. There is a lot that we can do, and maybe me and you will do some things together. But there is a lot that we can do. And I do want to talk about how we got here a little bit and bring up some really important points about what really happened to you. And I do want to let you know that in 2012, I was vaccine injured by the flu shot and was very sick for 8 years. And I understand being vaccine injured, and I don't understand losing a loved one. But my heart is very connected to the vaccine injured. And I almost don't regret being sick for 8 years. That's probably weird. But I think it brought me to where I am today. So I do understand the vaccine injured. So let's just talk about something that really is incredibly important. When you went for your vaccine, where did you get your vaccine? Where did you actually get it?
I received it about 20 miles away from McAllen, Texas.
Was it at a clinic?
It was at a clinic, yes, ma'am. I don't
Was it
even
by, yeah.
I don't even remember the name of the clinic, but yeah, they had a whole bunch of people. It was free vaccines, and everybody lined up.
So did they provide informed consent? Because, the preclinical trials had already shown that you can have serious adverse events, including death, heart attack, myocarditis, and all these things had already been demonstrated before this was launched upon the general population. And standard of care in modern medicine is for physicians to provide informed consent with both real and perceived risks and benefits, with the free ability to decline.
No, they didn't. They didn't say anything. They just asked, sign that paper, and they were just rushing people in, sign that paper, move down the line.
And the
And
same, go ahead.
I don't even think I seen a doctor there. I don't know if there were nurses. There were about probably 20 seats on each side of a hallway, and people would sit down, get injected, and go to the waiting room. And there was, like I said, a constant, like a cattle car. You just constantly moving, and nobody mentioned anything. Nobody said anything about it.
Right. And for your son, wherever you went to get the vaccine, did
That
they
that was at a DHR hospital. They were the ones that were promoting that it was safe also.
did
And
they go ahead.
they didn't mention anything like that. They just
So
said, it was safe for the kids, kids, and just, for us to do it. And like I said, I believe the lies. That's why we did it.
of course, it was a lie, but but they didn't tell you that there was any side effects related to a medical procedure.
No,
In the
ma'am.
United States of America, standard of care is that physicians have to provide informed consent. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
and and I want my colleagues in medicine to be afraid because the lawyers are still going to go after failure to provide informed consent. And that's ongoing right now. There's some recent cases. And what we need to understand, and I think it's important for everybody to realize this, and I know you know this, is that in 1986, a law was passed that removed all product liability for vaccine and biologic makers and established a vaccine adverse event reporting system and the healthcare compensation fund, for which $7 billion was paid out for vaccine injuries before COVID. And according to their own analysis, the Lazarus report, only 1 to 10% of vaccine injuries are even reported. As it relates for the COVID vaccine and biologics, we have the PrEP Act, and that established the COVID countermeasure injury program, for which you have to report your injury within 1 year of the vaccination. So there's product liability protection for the makers of vaccines and biologics, and there's also protection for those who administer them. But there are some loopholes in this, and I hope the lawyers go after every physician that failed to provide informed consent, because it's not my fault that you chose not to read the preclinical trials, because all of these adverse events were known in the preclinical trials. And even no matter, post-vaccination myocarditis has been around for decades, and we have known about post-vaccination myocarditis from other respiratory virus vaccinations. And so the crime against humanity is that if we didn't have product liability protection for the makers of these vaccines and biologics, no one would actually have gotten them, because there's no way the pharmaceutical industry would have allowed these to occur. And the problem is that we need to repeal these two laws, because the thing is, in the United States of America, fear of being sued drives safety and efficacy. And the reason why they passed the dumb law in the first place was because they were getting sued for harm.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And
So,
did you know in April I'd search back after all I started learning all this stuff, I had found, who is it, Dr. Renee Moon? She has an insert, and nowhere on there did it say anything about myocarditis. That wasn't added to that insert until June, July 2021. But they knew about this back in December 17, 2020, that it caused myocarditis. And they didn't add it to that insert until June or July. And then now we all know all the inserts are blank.
right,
So,
but even no matter, regardless of the insert, you make a good point, but we know that respiratory virus vaccinations can cause myocarditis and other adverse events. And that's the biggest problem related to that. And so I'm so sorry that the healthcare providers violated their oath and failed to provide standard of care as it relates to both your medical care, your son's medical care, and everybody in these United States of America. And they all should be held culpable for their own crimes against humanity. You know,
yes, exactly.
exactly.
But the thing is, too, it's gotten to the point. I have a doctor that I used to see. I'm type 2 diabetic. I get blood drawn every 3 months. And the last time I went in, the nurse, they asked me how I felt. I said, I'm always tired. I'm always sleepy. And they said, well, we're going to give you a shot of B12. It should make you feel good. And I told them, no, you don't know who I am. And the nurse said, no. And I told her who I was, what I do. She started crying. The doctor comes in and tells me, Mr. Ramirez, we can give you a shot of B12. I said, really, ma'am? You forget who I am? She said, it's only vitamins. I said, okay, no problem. I said, let's see if there's an insert so we can see if there's any chance of any type of side effects. She turned around and tells me, you know what? You don't need it after all. And that was the last time I seen that doctor. She quit seeing me. I had to see another doctor because I asked for if there was a chance of any side effects, and she didn't want to show me. That's the way our medical system's turning now. They just
It,
want to inject you with anything, but they don't want to be held responsible.
no, it's disgusting because we're supposed to first do no harm. And then we also need to remember that there's a big component of government interference because there's something called quality measurement payments that are tied to vaccine percentages and also cholesterol lowering agents and
Hmm.
diabetes, hemoglobin A1C. And they get bonus payments based on that. And it's not necessarily they're all trying to make $1 billion. It's just that they get paid less per visit, but get paid these bonuses. And quality measurement payments are a big part of the problem. But the
Yeah.
other part of the problem is that the whole mishandling of the pandemic from a scientific perspective, they didn't promote vitamin D, nutraceuticals, all of this fear mongering that was not based on science or logic or economics that led you to the point where you felt that you needed to get an experimental vaccine without informed consent so that you and your son could try and live your lives in the United States of America. And that all is incredibly wrong on many levels, both on a scientific perspective and related to the constitutional protections, which the government is here to protect life, liberty, and property, not to lie to us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the thing is, it's all about money. They no longer care like back in the day. The doctors worried about their patient's health. Now they don't care. If we're healthy, they can't profit. They try to keep us sick so they can continue making their money, which is not the life we thought we had like before. Before everyone was happy, they loved their doctors. The doctors took care of them. Now we can't trust anybody.
Well, and I want to give you perspective because I've been a physician since 1993 and I do care about my patients and I do my best to provide informed consent and to do no harm. But doctors have lost control of our own profession and we've become, these non-critical thinking, don't analyze the data, follow the CDC
Yeah,
guidelines without any analysis of the risk benefit profiles of the things that we're doing. And part of it is what's wrong with medicine, mismanaged care, and a lot of doctors work for hospitals, but shame on them. And I hope they all have subsequent consequences for failure to provide informed consent because
yes,
it
ma'am.
really was disgusting on the part of physicians. We could have stopped this. I feel like a lot of physicians like me, I spoke out from the beginning. I had seen the patent. It was some rough times. But of course, my own personal journey, I had to submit for a medical exemption because I was vaccine injured. They made me COVID test every Monday for 3 years. I almost left medicine, but I felt like a licensed practicing physician would be a better advocate for you guys. And I tried to tell as many people as I can that there was serious issues with safety and efficacy all the way from the beginning. But my social media accounts were censored and I kept getting into trouble when I kept opening my mouth at it at
Yep.
work. And so, I wasn't like a lot of those other physicians who were out in the news, the frontline doctors, because I don't actually treat COVID patients or give COVID vaccinations. I'm a specialist, but I treat vaccine injured, and I've been treating vaccine injured for over 20 years, which gets me to what I want to talk to you about. So I've been treating vaccine injured patients on the musculoskeletal and spinal side for a long time with some local neurologists and naturopath. And I have applied for a position in Health and Human Services. And one of the proposals that I submitted to them is to have a vaccine injury center of excellence at the National Institute of Health. And we would find some way to make the pharmaceutical industry pay for it. And then provide incentives so that there's a vaccine center of excellence in at least one in each state through a private partnership with the National Institute of Health and local physicians so that we can start treating the vaccine injured, because there's a huge problem with delay in diagnosis and proper treatment. All these patients who are acutely vaccine injured, some of them may have been candidates both on the neural and cardiac side for IVIGG, plasmapheresis, various types of treatments, but a lot of times, and think some preventable deaths, right? Because the doctors are not diagnosing the vaccine injured and they're not providing the proper treatment. And then there's not a lot of research onto how to treat them. And so we really need to, this is just this ongoing perpetual crime against humanity for all the vaccine injured that you're trying to help, which thank God that you're giving them more voices, and I thank you for it. And that leads me into the organization that you have. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the website?
Uh, well, I started off with React 19, advocating for them. Like I said, I uh, try to help all my vaccine injured. And this past June, I got laid off from my work. I guess because all the traveling and speaking out I do, and I guess they don't want to be part of it. So I said it's okay. You know, God closes one door, opens another. And within about a week or so, I had a dear friend, Dr. Molly James, that I've known for a couple of years. She asked me, you lost your job?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she asked me if I'd work for her. So I'm actually a patient advocate for her now. So I do a lot of work with her. We try to help the vaccine injured there. And like you said, React 19 is a nonprofit, and they give out care funds to people, $10,000 here and there for treatments. And unfortunately, React 19 has given out so much money. I want to say uh, what it was about 10, 20 times more than our government has even tried to help our people. And like I said, I appreciate that because it's all donations. That money's all donated money from different organizations, different people. Like I've said, I told you earlier, I've asked people when I was in LA, I said, $10, $20 does not buy you decent lunch. But if everybody would pitch in $10, $20, we can help somebody. We can actually get somebody some medical treatment. A lot of these doctors won't do the research, or they don't want to get that involved because they know about vaccine injury. They don't want to admit to it because they're afraid they'll be attacked naturally or their license stripped, which I understand because Dr. John Witcher and Dr. Peter McCullough were in Mississippi, and something happened while I was there. The vaccine injured grabbed me, and they told me, "You okay?" I said, "I'm fine." I wasn't expecting nothing. They said, my whole body was trembling. I said, "Okay." They sat me down. Dr. Peter McCullough came up. Dr. John Witcher. They asked me, "You're vaccinated?" I said, "Yes, sir." They said, "Have you been tested?" I said, "No." They said they believed I was vaccine injured. I said, "I'm not going to admit to it, and I won't confess to it because I have something to do." And I've been asked for several years to start treatment. I said, "Well," I told Brianne, I said, "How's the treatment helping you?" She said, "Not really." I said, "Okay, why should I do something that's not going to help me?" I have a cardiologist here that's been bugging me to go back because he found an issue with my heart. I said, "No, you're going to try to put me on meds or some type of treatment." And like I said, I don't trust them. We can't trust just any doctor anymore. There are very few doctors that are willing to stand up and help. And like I said, unfortunately, that's the way things are nowadays. Hopefully, we can straighten it back up again. But, you know, like I said, it's nobody has money. None of these vaccine injured, none of my vaccine injured have money. They're begging for help. And like I said, the world's trying to move on. The world's trying to forget what happened or what's happening. And so nobody donates anymore. Nobody's donated to the individuals or to the organizations that are actually helping. Because I know quite a few organizations that supposedly raise money for the vaccine injured. And I know all just thousands and thousands of injured people and groups, but I don't see where the money's going. At least here with React 19, I know where the money's going. With the James Clinic, I know where the money's going. There's It's just kind of shady all the way around. There's also a lot of snake oil salesmen here. I've had people contact me, "Ernest, I can cure your vaccine injured," and I tell them, "Yeah, give me paperwork. I want to see your research, so I can have it researched by other people before I give it to my vaccine injured. I don't just give things to my vaccine injured, but nobody comes through with it. That's why I say everyone's afraid. All my vaccine injured are afraid. They want the help. They're begging for help. I hear them cry every day. I hold spaces too where they can speak out. And the thing is, it hurts. It hurts. I'm tired, to tell you the truth, because every day it's a new victim, new injured, new bereaved. And I tweeted earlier, I don't know if you've seen it. I told Trump and Kennedy, I'm tired of getting these calls. I don't want no one contacting me anymore because they're asking and begging for help, and I don't have it. I will speak about them. I'll tell the stories, but I want to see some action. To be honest, I want to see something done. I want to be able to say, I have a little hope for you. Don't worry. We're gonna get over all this trouble, and we're gonna get through it together. But I can't even say that. I don't want to lie to people either. So I just beg people to try to find somebody. Not. I'm not talking about myself. Find somebody. We all know injured people. Donate once in a while at least. And you will brighten up their day. Maybe they'll buy themselves a sandwich, or maybe you can help them pay their medication. I know people on IVIG that can't afford it, and that's not cheap. I know little
Oh,
Maddie. Yeah, little Maddie goes everywhere, and Steph is using credit cards that she doesn't have money to put back in, but she's trying to take care of her baby, which I understand. You would do
yeah.
the same thing.
Yes, exactly. Well, first of all, we need to have the vaccine.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Went down the wrong pipe.
No, that's okay, but you're all the way in Texas. I can't help you. Let's take. Are you okay, sweetie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Um, yeah, no, we need to, like I said, my suggestion, and people can reach out to React 19 and other legitimate organizations and check with us. But the pharmaceutical industries made billions upon billions because they have product liability protection. They use those billions to purchase ad on mainstream media and purchase your legislators so that they could lock you in your homes during COVID mania tyranny. And so, Kennedy talks about banning ads, but we don't need to ban ads if they were held liable, because they would not be selling as many of
Hmm.
these if, we didn't have this product liability protection. The COVID vaccine and biologic needs to be recalled immediately. It should have never
Yes.
been given to any human. So I hope that we can find a way to get the Vaccine Center of Excellence at the National Institute of Health, and then a private partnership where there's at least one in each state, and it's paid for by the pharmaceutical industry that caused this harm.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping that there's going to be a pathway to do it. I don't know how we're going to be able to get that to happen, but that seems like the right thing to do. And maybe someday, Ernest, we can pray for a vaccine injury center that's honored in your son's name. Maybe that's the future.
That'd be
And
nice.
I hope so. I hope so. Um, and we can hope and pray for that. I know I know you're upset, but I just want to talk to you about the fact that I know you know this, that the AICP from the CDC, the COVID vaccine and biologic is on the pediatric vaccine schedule, recommending, I believe, I got to confirm this, 3 doses below the age
Yep.
of 1. um it's not safe, not effective, doesn't prevent transmission. It is just an incredible crime against humanity. And when Kennedy gets confirmed for Health and Human Services, he is the person that can remove them, and we can put doctors on there and get the vaccine, the COVID vaccine and biologic, recalled. And then they need to go back and look at the whole vaccine schedule and analyze the safety and efficacy of
Hmm.
every one of those on the vaccine schedule, because that schedule has quadrupled since 1986, since the removal of product liability protection. So that's a whole big can of worms.
Yes, exactly. And you know what makes me happy with people, with all the traveling I do, and I love driving. It gives me a chance to meet people because I can be somewhere putting gas, and they'll come up to talk to me or whatever, and they'll tell me, because of you and your story, we didn't vaccinate our children, and you don't know how much that makes me feel. I mean, I'm so happy to hear that I don't have to worry about another injured child, or somebody, uh, 'cause a lot of these children are coming out autistic now after certain vaccines also, and this is not right. We're not here to attack and kill. Our children are gifts, man. We're supposed to be protecting them with our lives. Don't don't allow them to do this to you. Like I said, I've never told anybody not to vaccinate or to vaccinate. That's not my choice. That's your choice. I just want you to do the research. I need everyone because we got to protect our babies. I need you to do the research before you decide to inject yourself or your children with anything. And like I said, I
But
won't do that.
but 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 think about it. Did we get informed consent? My children are fully vaccinated. They're older. They're 28 and 22. They didn't tell me the risks and benefits of the
Uh-uh.
vaccines.
No, but you need it though. They tell you your baby needs this, that your baby needs that. But why? Because I noticed too. I never took a flu shot because it was actually injecting the flu in your body so you could get sick, so your body can fight it off. What's the whole
Well,
purpose? It's easier for you to get the flu and let your body naturally do it. And that's why I tell these parents your children's immune system is just starting, it's learning how to fight. So you don't need to inject them with something to protect them from some virus or something that's going around. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying how I feel and what I think. So I don't want people to think what I'm saying is accurate. I just feel you, we don't need to do this. Let our children's body naturally uh, fight anything that affects them. I wish I would have had all this information before my son's passing, and if I did, he would still be here with me. If somebody would have gave me some type of, look, this is good, this is not, they would have had me thinking, and feel my son would still be here. But I mean, because if this didn't happen to me, and I would hear stories like that, I would hold on to my child. I said, at least it didn't affect me, and that's their problem. But that's not the deal. This affected me, and I want people to know. I want them to hear this could happen to you. You know,
right, but
I
that's the right, exactly. But that's the whole point, that there's failure to provide informed consent on behalf of the healthcare
yes,
workers. Now,
ma'am.
during COVID mania tyranny, people were forced and coerced, and
Yeah,
government became the destroyer. And the ability to provide informed consent requires people to have the free ability to decline. And you can't have the
mm-mm.
free ability to decline if that's tied to your work and
Yeah,
life, liberty, and property. So government was upside down, and instead of being a protector of our civil liberties, was the destroyer. But
yes, ma'am.
what really upsets me is my physician colleagues who forgot who they were. Also, what bothers me is we the people forgot who we were and let government tell us to lock us in this home and wear a face diaper that doesn't prevent the spread and all of this. But I'm also going to tell you something that's probably going to really upset you. There's a 2018 study that demonstrates that flu vaccine increases coronavirus susceptibility by 36%. So they were promoting something
Yeah,
that was skewing the pathways towards the pandemic viral
yeah,
agent, and that's a Department of Defense study. And so the whole thing was mishandled from a scientific perspective, regardless of whether or not it was unconstitutional and it was medically unethical. And so you're a consequence of so many wrongs, and I'm just so very sorry for your loss. So how do people help you help other people?
well, just like I said, I've told it people hundreds and hundreds of times. You know, I live in a little trailer now. As long as I have a place to lay my head and a place to shower, I'm happy. All I want to do is keep that truck on the road. That's my main concern. So I can continue speaking out. So I can continue trying to help my vaccine injured. Because, like I said, no amount of money will bring my son back. But if I can help somebody, that's my whole purpose here, to help others, to try to give them some type of hope, to let them know that somebody loves them, even though the rest of the world, their own family members have turned their backs on them. I'm here for you. I mean, I am nobody special, but I am here for you. I wish I could, hug everybody at one time and try to protect you. I've always said this. Uh, I would take a bullet for my country and for my people because I have no fear. That's the way we should all be. Every man, you're supposed to be king of your castles, protectors of your family. let's stand up. Everywhere I go, it's nothing but women. Women, they're the strong ones. They're the ones fighting back. They're trying to fight the system. But to be honest, people don't really want to hear women. They don't want to listen to them. Where's the men at? I need the men to stand up. Show your strength. We need to get together. Protect your. Even if you don't have children, I lost my son, but I'm gonna protect your child. I'm gonna protect your grandchild. If I see them in harm's way, I will stand in front of that child to protect them. That's just the type of person I am. So I need everybody to be like that. And like I said, if they can keep my truck rolling, that's all I got to. I broke down in North Carolina, and I told people, I posted it. When we're trying to do good, the devil will he'll throw stones in our path to trip us up. I said, but the devil will not steal my joy. I know God has me. He's the best bodyguard I could have. Well, people started donating money to me to make sure my truck was on the road. Like I said, that's my whole purpose in life now. I'm a fighter, and I will fight to the end for my people. If you want to donate, they can donate to my Give, Send, Go. And, like I said, I'm not looking to buy a new truck. I don't want to buy a new house. I just want to keep rolling keep fighting until God takes me home. That's it.
Well, a few minutes ago, you said that you were no one special, but I think that you're someone incredibly special. And I think that the community of the vaccine injured and those who have passed really are very lucky to have you. I'm very, very sorry for the loss of your son, and may his soul rest in peace. And unfortunately, me and you are here doing missions until we're called home again.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we got to keep doing our missions. And I find it very refreshing that you took your pain and heartache and made something to help others. You're an honorable man, and I will keep you in my prayers every day so that you can do God's work. So thank you so much for coming onto the show. Do you have any parting words of anything that people need to know?
Well, like I tell everyone, have faith, get closer to God, get closer to your family, because we all have a purpose here on this world. You're not just here to occupy space. You need to find your purpose. Don't be waiting for a miracle. You need to become that miracle. We're here to serve Him. He's not here to serve us. So remember this. Have faith, love one another, and praise God every day. Not because you receive some money, not because you got a better position. Just say thank you, Jesus, because He deserves our thanks every day, all day.
Well, thank you, Jesus, for giving me the honor and the privilege to meet you. May your son rest in peace. You have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you soon, and we'll keep in touch.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm just going to let you know that we close up the show with a song for someone called Ross, who is serving 2 life sentences for creating a website called The Silk Road. President Trump has promised to pardon him. It's related to the use of Bitcoin and all of these libertarian things that we talk about. So the song will explain why we're advocating for him, and then we'll close out the show with that. You have a blessed night, and thank you again.
You too, ma'am. Thank you so much.
On day 1, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served.
Is there anywhere on earth where a man can still be free? Will he placed inside a cage. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Free Ross. An honest and philosopher, embattled by the steel of a sail designed to force all men to kneel. But he's patient and determined in his endless duel with time, in a sentence unbefitting of his crime. Will you bend your ear to listen? Will you turn your face to see the injustice staring back at you and me? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Free Ross. He stands in the presence. Looking back, he sees the boy he was is gone. And there's no pretending. Living day to day in death, he carries on. There's a fire inside that burns in you and me, and the truth denied is what will set it free. And the years go by like strangers in a dream, and the reasons why are more than what they seem. I'm awake tonight, and his spirit spoke to me. I can't be polite, said Ross, so bring